My name is Sarah, a divorced woman in my late 20s. I'm going to share a story that happened about a year ago about my ex-husband's unbelievable betrayal and the astonishing events that followed. I was with John, my ex-husband, since our college days. After graduating and securing jobs, we got married 2 years later. John, who had a sales job at a cosmetics manufacturing company, used to say, "Appearance is everything in sales." And so he put even more effort into maintaining his looks than he did in college. Around the time we got married, his company started doing quite well, so John started investing more in his outfits. He was so particular about his hair that he went to the salon twice a month just to keep it perfect. I mean, you can't have a sales rep for a cosmetics company looking shabby. So I had to hold back my feelings whenever I thought, isn't he going a bit overboard? Especially when comparing his situation to mine. As for me, I quit my job to become a homemaker after we got married. After about a year, I started thinking about having kids. But John would always respond with, "We don't have enough money. It's just not possible right now," and was reluctant to agree. So I reluctantly started working part-time to convince him. I juggled 2 jobs, worked 5 days a week at both a gas station and a grocery store. It was exhausting, both physically and emotionally, to the point where I felt I might be busier than John himself. I couldn't even go to a hair salon often. Yet what kept me going was John's kindness that he expressed occasionally. Once every 3 months or so, there were days when he would make a reservation for the both of us at the hair salon. We spend the whole day together, just being out on a date. We would get our hair done in the morning, and then go shopping or watch movies. Although there were things I wished John did better, the time spent together on our dates made up for it. Those dates helped ease out our tension and maintain our healthy relationship. However, 2 years after getting married, Megan, a friend from our college days who lived nearby, told me this. "Sarah, did you know there's a rumor going around that John's cheating on you with another woman?" Of course, I, who had no way of knowing such a thing, was shocked. Unlike me, Megan was already a mother of 2. She was enjoying her daily meetups with other moms in the park. Among the gossip there, it seemed there was one about John going into a hotel with a young woman every Friday. Sure enough, John was usually late coming home on Fridays, but that was because he had to tally the week's sales results for the weekend. At that time, I completely believed his story. Thinking it must be some mistake, I tried to tell Megan, but she countered, "I saw it once, too." Megan grabbed my shoulder and persuaded me in a strong tone. "Something's fishy for sure. You have to talk to him about this." That day, I told John about the gossip. Really because Megan pushed me to talk to him, but also because I wanted to be reassured and tell others that it wasn't true. I thought that if I confirmed this with John and he denied it, I could feel at ease. As expected, John refuted my story, saying it was just a rumor. "There's a female employee who came from out of state for our meeting. It seemed she would be late returning home, so I took her to the hotel she stayed at. Don't take strange rumors seriously." He snapped back and denied the rumor. I didn't think he would be this upset for being doubted, so I didn't know how to respond for a second. Then I felt very bad for doubting my husband when he did nothing wrong. I deeply regretted accusing my husband of cheating even for a bit. However, right after that, I witnessed my husband entering a hotel with a woman. The 2 of them, arm in arm, looked like nothing but lovers. John was wearing the suit he had worn to work that day, and the woman was in a hoodie. It didn't look like something you'd wear to a company-wide meeting. I remembered that they were seen going to the hotel every Friday, so I started to stake out around the hotel in the evenings every Friday. And sure enough, every week, John appeared with this woman. John always had his sunglasses on, and the woman had her hood deep over her eyes, seemingly trying not to be noticed. But it was the figure of my husband whom I saw every day. He wasn't under much disguise, so it was clear that it was my husband. I knew I needed proof, so I took pictures with my phone. I had to do something, so I took the initiative to contact my in-laws and explain the situation. However, the 2 of them, who've always been sweet on John, their youngest child, brushed off my story as if it were just a rumor. "What a nice guy escorting a girl who's on a business trip safely to her hotel." Seeing my father-in-law start to praise John, I showed him the picture of John with this woman. "Please, you 2, look at this." The 2 of them seemed a bit flustered when they saw the pictures, but they quickly composed themselves. "A young man with a young woman? It's normal for others to take it that way." The mother-in-law laughed, and the father-in-law nodded in agreement. The fact that it's every week is strange, and no matter how many times I look at the woman's outfit, it doesn't look like she just left the office. Their reaction got on my nerves, so to prove my husband's infidelity, I decided to get some more solid proof. I knew John was careless. He often leaves his phone on the desk with all of his notifications on. Everything pops up on his screen. both the messages and its senders. I'd never thought about going through his notifications until now, but of course, it was different this time. I took a peek at his phone that was left on his desk as usual. "Looking forward to our beach trip on Friday night?" I was both shocked and dumbfounded. I couldn't believe they were brazen enough to chat about such a thing through texts. I felt like they were treating me like I was stupid, which only intensified my anger. That very night, John told me that he had to go on a trip starting Friday night for his company's gathering. He said it so casually, but I knew it was just a facade. It was amusing to see him trying to hide something so obvious, and I felt a sense of superiority. When I asked where he was going, he responded with the name of a beach resort by the mountains. It seems he's staying at a hotel, which we've been to together before. When I called the hotel, they indeed had a reservation under John's name for Friday night. That Friday, I decided to bring my in-laws to the said hotel. Charles, my nephew-in-law, a vocational school student living with my in-laws, also wanted to come. He must have heard from my in-laws. Charles is the only son of John's eldest brother. He lost his parents in a car accident when he was in elementary school, and has since been raised by my in-laws, perhaps due to their close age. Charles was particularly fond of John among many uncles and aunts. Following John's lead, he even started to become interested in fashion, and has been saying he wants to be a hairstylist. John seemed to be very happy that Charles liked him. The two of them were more like brothers than uncle and nephew. They called each other by all sorts of nicknames, too. He must have found it hard to believe the unfaithfulness of his beloved young uncle. Just like me a little while ago. He must have wanted concrete proof that things were not what they seemed. The thought of this hurt my heart, but in the end, he couldn't come because he had school. Fateful Friday, I arrived at the hotel a little earlier than the time John and the women's check-in time, and waited for them with my skeptical in-laws. "He's probably not coming," my father-in-law murmured, relieved when they didn't show up after waiting for a while. However, just as my father-in-law sighed and started to get up from his seat, they arrived. A man in a suit and incongruous sunglasses, and a woman whose face was half hidden by the hood of her hoodie, arrived. As soon as the two walked through the entrance of the hotel, they kissed without waiting for the automatic door behind them to close. At that moment, the woman's hood fell down, revealing her hidden face. I was stunned by the beauty that had come into clear view. She had cute acorn-like eyes, a small nose pointed up, beautifully upturned lips, and her inner hair beautifully dyed bright red, which was familiar. She was a hairstylist at the hair salon my husband frequented. I had had her shampoo and blow-dry my hair several times. I remembered talking to her across the mirror, saying, "I'm going on a date with my husband after this." I was completely taken aback. I had been unknowingly going to the salon where the woman my husband was cheating with worked, excited about my post-haircut date with him. Did she think I was a dumb old woman, oblivious to my husband's infidelity while she dried my hair? Thinking this, my anger began to boil. I wanted to strike down both John and the woman. I looked at my in-laws. You both understand now, right? John is undoubtedly having an affair. They made faces as if they had bitten into sand and apologized. Never mind that. Could you please cooperate with me? Later at dinner, my in-laws and I sat next to John and the woman. My plan to get back at them was quite simple. We would appear in front of them and confront them in a situation where they couldn't make excuses. I thought that if it became known that he had been unfaithful not only to me, but also to his parents, even John would learn his lesson. "Good day." As I greeted him, John, turning to me, widened his eyes so much that the outlines of his pupils were discernible. His lover asked, "What? Who are they?" But John's half-open mouth just flapped without any words coming out. Anger surged in me again towards his mistress, who didn't even recognize me. I retorted in a sharp tone. "More like, who are you? A colleague from work?" For the first time, his mistress reacted and was taken aback. Seems like she finally recognized me. She tried to get help from John by making eye contact, but John was stunned too. I blurted out, "So it's true that you go to a hotel with some woman. How could you be so bold and lie to me? You were actually cheating on me, and yet you got mad at me for doubting you. As soon as you guys entered here, you two were kissing. We saw it clearly." At this point, anger flared in John's eyes. He glared at me and said in a low voice, "Cheating? What do you mean?" and raised his voice. "So you're telling me it's all my fault? Shut up. You were so busy with your part-time job or whatever, and never bothered to dress well for yourself. You always look so shabby, and I can't be going out with someone like you." Spurred by my husband's counterattack, his lover suddenly became more energetic. "By the way, are you his wife? I couldn't even tell at first glance because you look so shabby. Gosh, I even gave you a wonderful haircut at my place."
"How dare you talk to her like that?"
Finally, my father-in-law raised his voice.
"John, shut this girl up right now. And John, how dare you talk to your own wife like that?" "Shut up. That's how you make me the bad guy." "Well, that's to be expected. Unlike my older brother and sister, I'm never good enough. You always made me take on extra classes because I was never talented."
"John, that's not right."
"Shut up, old hag."
John raised his voice again, but my mother-in-law was right. My mother-in-law had always told me, John's older brother and sister struggled in school, so we made John attend extra classes and tutoring, so he wouldn't have to struggle like his siblings. We did everything we could to make sure John didn't fall behind in school. He was showered with love, yet his view was skewed. After that, John continued to insult me and his parents, who tried to confront John, loudly calling them old man and old hag.
"All of you don't understand me and always put me down. That's why I couldn't stand it and went for a girl who understands me. What's wrong with that?"
Suddenly, John's phone rang. It was a call from someone. At first, John ignored it, but annoyed by the relentless ringing, he took out his phone to check it. Immediately, I could see the blood draining from John's face. Wondering what was wrong, I peeped at the screen to see a text. And just by looking at the text, I could tell his fury was flooding in like a demon.
"How dare you? Because of you, our reputation is ruined. What are you doing and where are you? Come to my office right now."
For some reason, John's boss was furious. I had no idea what was going on. John's phone went off again. This time it seemed to be a call, and John answered in a flustered manner.
"Charles, it's not what you think it is. I can explain."
He got a call from Charles. From the moment I confronted John, I had called Charles to let him hear everything that went down. Charles requested for me to do so. Charles' voice was loud enough for us to hear.
"No, I know just exactly what you did. I heard everything.
I can't forgive you for all the rude things you said to your wife. And berating my grandpa and grandma. How dare you? Also, Ashley will get a call soon too." At Charles' words, John's mistress shuddered. Huh? How does Charles know John's mistress? She's getting a call? From whom? I wondered, but I soon learned why. "I'm currently interning at a hair salon for school, and the owner of the salon's right here with me. He's been listening to everything. He said he's even contacted your boss, John." "Yes, that's right. Charles is aspiring to be a hairstylist and attends a cosmetology school. The salon where he is interning turned out to be the one John frequents. In retrospect, I just remembered that Charles was the one who introduced the place to John. But why would his manager call John's boss?" In the middle of the call with Charles, John's phone went off again. John hurriedly looked at his phone, which he held up to his ear. The call was from his boss, the same one from earlier.
"I'm so sorry."
The first thing that John said when he put the phone back to his ear was a strained apology. However, the voice on the other end was just as furious as earlier.
"No apology will make up for this. You having an affair with a worker from the hair salon run by our CEO's older brother. I let you be in charge to handle business with that store, since your nephew happened to be interning there. But how dare you make a fool out of us? Our CEO's older brother said he will no longer buy our cosmetics or our shampoo products ever again. He said he'll spread the word to the people in the industry too."
I was even more flabbergasted. Who would have thought that the hair salon was a business partner of John's company, and its manager was the CEO's brother? But the most shocking revelation of the day was yet to come.
"That girl, she's engaged to the son of the CEO's older brother, right?"
"Did you lay a hand on her knowing that?" I was dumbfounded. The woman had been cheating with John, even though she was engaged to the son of her manager. To summarize, John had an affair with a girl that worked at the hair salon that Charles had introduced him. The place happened to be owned by the older brother of John's company's CEO. The hair salon was actually an important client for John, and even worse, the girl he cheated with was engaged to her manager's son. It was clear that this would cause trouble in many ways if people found out. The audacity of these people. John's mistress also got a call.
"Ashley, do you think it's okay to have an affair with your client? You're even engaged to my son. What did you say to his wife? You're fired right here and now. Also, we're done dealing with that company's shampoo and cosmetics. Don't you and your man ever come here again."
The frantic behavior of John and Ashley after that was something to behold. Both of them made numerous excuses,
and apologized over and over again on the phone, but it seemed to no avail. In the end, John turned beet red, and Ashley left the hotel sobbing. I heard later that Charles, when he heard about John's affair, immediately suspected it was Ashley. So he consulted with the salon manager, and they both kept an eye on the situation here. After that, I divorced John. At first, he said, "I don't need you anyway." But after Ashley told him she had been fired because of him, he turned around and started pleading with me.
"Don't divorce me. You're all I have,"
he said. But I cut him off without a second thought. And now, I've become a full-time employee at the grocery store where I worked part-time, and I'm studying to become the manager here. I owe it all to my years of dedication as a part-time worker. I don't need to rely on John's income anymore. By the way, I hear that John's sales performance has deteriorated rapidly since he lost the deal with that beauty salon. The rumor spread at his workplace, so I'm sure it affected John. According to Charles, John quit the company voluntarily. He was either encouraged to resign or felt uncomfortable staying at his workplace. After graduating from his cosmetology school, Charles got a job at that hair salon. Now I am his regular customer. Although, he being a novice hairstylist cannot yet handle real customers, so he practices on me by cutting my hair. "It's practice, so it's free," Charles says, but I feel bad about that, so I pay at least half the actual price. To be honest, Charles occasionally asks me out on dates, but I want to prioritize my work and my own time for now, so I politely turned him down.